Good morning, guys. Um, okay, so we have some stuff to talk about. Um, Sorry, I was just writing this problem on here to do in a second. Um, as for the review, so what I'm expecting you to do today is to finish the review. If it takes you longer than today, that's fine too. I just want you to work on it today. Um, it's 16 questions, so a bit longer than the last couple of homework assignments that you've had. Um, the reason it has more questions is because I made it almost identical to the actual test, as close as I could get it. So it's super important. That's why I'm grading it. I'm grading this like a normal homework assignment. It's 10 points, and I'm expecting you to finish it. Um, so that's that's because I know how important it is for you to do this in order to like remind yourself of these stuff from a long time ago. Um, in other news, hang on. So, the other thing that I did to try to help with your end of semester review is I listed page numbers to look for. So on Canvas, there's a page, I think I linked it in the announcement I made, but it's called End of Semester Review, and it has page numbers for you to look at in the book for each question. And I just 4 seconds ago realized I put the wrong page number for number one. Like, number one is a different problem. So we'll talk about that in a second. But each one has just reference to go to when you're doing that problem. So that might be really helpful, especially because this stuff is quite old. There's back to even the first question is like has a quadratic in it. So um, the other thing I wanted to say is as you are doing your review, please make a note card because I'm allowing you a note card on the test and it's going to be very useful, especially for this old stuff that we haven't done in a really long time. It's going to be really nice for you to have something to look at while you're taking the test. So as you're doing the review on MathSpace, motorcycles, um, take note of what things feel important, like you would want to have on a note card, and write those down on a note card or something similar so that you can have that on the test. Because you can have a note card and a calculator on the test. Um, the test is on Canvas. Just a reminder that it's not one that I made. I don't say that to diss on it, but kind of also, it's going to grade you really badly. I already know that. Just because there's too many open-ended questions, not open-ended necessarily, but there's just too many ways you can put your answers in there. Um, so ignore whatever grade it gives you. I'm going to regrade them. Also remember that this is only 20 points and your normal tests are 50, so it's like less than half as important or as impactful, same importance, but less than half as impactful to your grade as a normal unit test. Um, so don't freak out. It's more for me and for the math specialist than it is for you guys necessarily to. Um, anyway, we just need to know where you are with all of the content. Um, Let me think. Okay, make a note card, do the review today, um, look on Canvas for page numbers for help on any of the problems that you're having a hard time with or you don't remember how to do. Those are on Canvas listed nicely for you. Because I did number one wrong, I put a wrong page number. I did that because I forgot that it was in a different book. It's in your old book, actually. Number one is from technically from last semester, like the very end. So I'm actually going to do that problem with you so that you have help with it and you don't have to dig out and find your old notebook. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to set you free to go work on your review. Just so you know, I will be available for longer today to work on or to help you with your review. because I imagine you probably will end up on questions that you don't know how to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be available probably from 11 till I don't know, I might split it up. I might do 11 to noon and then 1 to 2 or something like that. Um, but again, if you ever like are doing your homework at a different time and you need help with it, just please let me know and I can jump on a Google Meets call with you and I can help you. So, okay, so number one on MathSpace is it gives you a quadratic and a linear equation, and it asks for the intersection points or the solution to that system of equations. Um, and what you do for this one is you have to set them equal to each other. That's one of the ways we solve systems of equations. So what I'm going to do is set them equal to one another. And we're allowed to do that because they're both equal to y. So we can just replace one of the y's with the other equation, which looks like 4x minus 3 equals negative x squared plus 4x plus 22. So I just set them equal to each other, and then what you're trying to do is get a 0 on one side. So get everything over on one side and then a 0 on the other side. And I'm actually going to move it left. I'm going to move everything left because I don't want to have a negative x squared, personal preference. You might have the same preference if you remember what you have to do if it's a negative. You have to like factor it out, and anyway, it's just harder. So I'm going to have positive x squared and 4x minus 3. Just remember you can't combine things that are not like terms. So you can't add x squared to 4x. It just ends up being tacked on to the side. So combine only like terms, not unlike terms. Take away 4x, take away 4x. That actually ends up canceling. And I just have the 22 to pull over still, which gives me x squared minus 25 equals 0. Okay, once you have it to this point, once you have a quadratic on one side and a 0 on the other, your job is to factor it and then solve for x's. So I realize this is old math. I realize that. So don't feel bad if you're like, I don't remember this at all. That's okay. There's only one question like this on the test. So hopefully this is jogging your memory a little bit. So what we do to factor is we take the middle term, which in this case we actually don't have a middle term, it's 0x's. So your middle term is 0, and you're trying to find two numbers that multiply to be 0 and add to be negative 25. So multiply to 0. And then they add to negative 25. Wait, I'm doing that wrong, aren't I? It's been a while for me too. Oh no, that's a giant eraser. Okay, take back what I said. You take the end term and they have to add to the middle term. I switched those around. So we're trying to figure out two numbers that multiply to be negative 25 and add to be 0, which makes a lot more sense because that actually exists. Negative 5 and positive 5 multiply to be negative 25 and add to be 0. So once you have those two numbers, you put them into parentheses like this, x. I'll do plus and then minus x plus 5, and then x minus 5, and then that's equal to 0. And then now that it's factored, we can solve both pieces of the factoring separately. So you do x plus 5 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. And this one you subtract 5 on both sides. and x is equal to -5, and this way you add 5 on both sides, and x is equal to +5. So the first question in this and on your math space asks for the x coordinates of their intercept, I think, which is what these are. These are the x intercepts of their the x coordinates of their intercepts. So what's happening here is that we have like a actually I guess it's upside down because it's got a negative x squared. And then we have like a line of some sort. So what we're looking for, because this is a system of equations, is what the coordinates are of those 2 points. So we know that it's at -5 and +5, but we don't know the y coordinates. And I think the next like part B of this question is to find the y coordinates for each of these x coordinates. So all you do for that is you pick one of the lines that you started with, and I'm going to pick the linear one because I'm lazy and I don't want to plug it into the quadratic. So I'm going to plug in, I'm going to copy it down here, y equals 4x equals -3, right? -3. I'm just going to plug in this x value in for x in this equation to see what y equals when x equals -5. So that gives me 4 times -5 minus 3, which is -20, -23. Just double checking. Yeah, I think so. Okay. And then same thing for this one. I'm just going to plug in +5 for this x as well to see what y is when x is 5. 20 minus 3 is 17. So the other y is 17. So these x and y coordinates are like 1 point. So they go with each other, so don't mix them. They have to go together into 1 point. I don't know what form math space asks for, but it's going to either ask for the y coordinates or it's going to ask for the points. So anyway, I wanted to do that one because it's been so long since we've done that math, and also there's not a page for me to reference in your book. You have to do both, Emily. What was I saying? Oh yeah, don't let this freak you out. Most of the questions are actually from far more recent than this. And they should feel a lot more familiar. There's trig on there, there's circle math on there, and there's like area and volume stuff on there. Yeah. Really quick recap, I'm grading the review like homework. So it's 10 points and I expect you to finish it. It's only 16 questions and you have a couple of days. The test is on Friday, so please be ready to take the test then. As you take the review today, as you do the review today, make a note card for yourself so that you have that available on the test for you. There's a list of reference pages in your notebook on Canvas for you to look at if you're struggling with questions on the review. And I think that's it. Also, your 10-4 homework is due today, technically. So, yeah, this is the last thing that you're gonna have to do for my class if you've stayed caught up most of this time. This is the last like new thing I'm giving you to do. Like I guess the test is technically. So, hooray for those of you who've done that. You have made it through and you can focus on whatever else you need to for the next 2 weeks, which is great. And boy, do I look forward to seeing everybody when we go back to normal next year. So it's been a mediocre time for sure doing this online. So I'm excited for it to go back to normal. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Good luck. Let me know what you need help on. And have a great, what day is it? Wednesday? Have a great Wednesday. Bye, guys.